Generally, stories try to have just one main mentor figure. You can give her like side ones or whatever, but like generally narratively for this arc, it should be Kurama and it should stay Kurama, and that's why she should win in the end. In fact, I would say, I mean, she's using Kurama's power to an extent. I would say both plot-wise and narratively, Himawari's the conduit. It's really a story about Kurama versus Jura right now. It's almost the same of like Kawaki versus Ishiki was actually Naruto versus Ishiki because Naruto taught Kawaki Shadow Clones in the first place, and that's what he used to win narratively and physically. So in the same way, you could say it's because Kurama's teaching Himawari. It's really a battle between Kurama and Jura, which is really interesting.
Yes, so this is the thing I was getting into with my thing. So they're presenting two very conflicting answers to this hypothetical question of the arc. And Kurama's answer is going to be presented as correct, not only because he's already found his identity in this mysterious world, but Himawari's gonna win, and Kurama, by conjunction, is going to win against Jura, at least to some extent. Jura's not just gonna like die off, but the point is, narratively, they'll probably get some level of a win, and then Jura's just strong and he's gonna do whatever moving forward. He'll probably learn something from this, or maybe he'll continue down his path, but blah 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 blah. Anyway, for this arc, I agree. Do you stay consistent with that for future arcs, or do you think the world's our oyster? It just depends.
So,
in terms of the sensei thing,
yeah, I think it always depends. I mean, especially with Boruto, you never know what they're gonna freaking do.
I would agree.
I think they're gonna have to give her a new flaw after this if they're gonna want to keep her relevant.
Well,
I mean, they're already having to do that.
But
in the
way
first
they're
place.
going, they can just make up a flaw in
exactly,
that same chapter.
Exactly, yeah. Because I think what they're doing, and I'm curious on your thoughts about this. So we meme Kurama's cop-out answer of, well, we just have to accept the circumstances and move on. It doesn't matter how I'm back or why I'm in you or blah, blah, blah. So let's not even bother worrying about it. Let's just focus on moving forward and dealing with the stuff now. It's the worst thing ever as a cop-out answer for the reason of why he's back, because that's what we care about. That's what we want. In terms of the narrative, you could argue what this is trying to do is solving Himawari's flaw right here, because this is what Jura is blinded to. If Jura had this answer, he wouldn't be in this circumstance in the first place doing what he's doing now. And he'd be satisfied. He would have the satisfaction he's looking for. I was curious on your thoughts about that.
Wait, say that again?
What Kurama gave Himawari is what Jura needs. Jura is blinded to the advice Kurama just gave Himawari. That it doesn't matter. That you should just be satisfied with what it is now and just move forward anyways.
Well, yeah, okay. You worded it weirdly, yeah, because that's this thing actually I was talking
about.
So
word it weird
Jura, though, would be fixed. Jura would be fixated on the why. Why is Kurama back? Rather than moving forward, Jura would be staying in the present or stuck in the past, however you want to word. So this is something I was going to say.
More is changing.
Ironically, while it sucks as a cop-out for the explanation, there is a message to the line at the very least. And it basically is saying, like, learn from the past, but move on. The past happened. No point dwelling on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to accept it and move forward the best way you can.
To grow.
Jura would be stuck in the past, and he would be like, well, why is Kurama back? He'd be searching endlessly for the answer instead of being like, okay, yeah, good to be curious, but like, you do need to move forward, Jura. Jura wouldn't be doing that.
And this is sort of a reach, but I think narratively, you could look at this as brilliant, because Jura is looking to the past for his growth, and Jura has stayed and is remaining stagnant. Whereas Himawari, she did take Kurama's advice, she accepted that, she is moving forward to the future, and Himawari is the one growing and changing.
So it's very interesting. This is too that I ended up cutting this out. I saved it, but I cut it out of my review because it was long. So here's the thing. I have an argument for and against this idea. So going on to that more, Jura is essentially not pursuing his actual goal right now because he's stuck in the past. Yeah. His actual target is Naruto. This whole curiosity about why is Kurama and Himawari thing is keeping him from just moving forward and going after Naruto. If Kurama's in Jura's shoes, he would have said, huh, that's interesting. If he didn't find out his answer pretty quickly, he'd be like, oh, well, time to go look for Naruto. But Jura has become so blinded by this mystery, he's completely detoured from his actual goal. However, there is like a little bit of a negative to this where I'm a little bit questionable about this interpretation because this completely conflicts with a pretty good message. And it's basically one of the big messages of Hunter x Hunter. This is why I thought about this, which is enjoying the journey, not just the destination. What Jura is doing is literally enjoying the journey as he approaches his destination of Naruto. And devouring Himawari doesn't conflict with his goal. It doesn't make him lose progress with finding Naruto. Honestly, it might actually help him find Naruto, depending on what knowledge he gains from this. And similarly, devouring Himawari doesn't force him to go against who he is as a person. Jura's just being Jura and being curious and enjoying his ride to his destination of Naruto. So it's like with that in mind, but I don't know if that is the message.
Jura's like, being Jura, but that doesn't matter if Jura himself doesn't realize it. He needs that self-actualization, the realization, understanding, acknowledgement of who Jura is. Otherwise, Jura being Jura is pointless. It doesn't matter. He could realize later on, oh, I was me all along. But then that matters because that's when he realizes it. So it doesn't matter if that's who he was all along. You can also argue it doesn't stop his goal or it doesn't conflict his goal. Well, it stagnates his goal. Because again, this goes back to layers. Go ahead.
No, I know, and I completely agree. That's why I brought that up before. Yeah. He's not pursuing his goal. It doesn't conflict, but it is stagnating it. The problem, though, is this does really go against the message of enjoying the journey. I'm a little bit, that's the one thing that kind of bothers me about this idea, because that's like saying, don't appreciate all the things along the way. Only be focused on your end goal. And I don't like that for a story message. That's the only problem I have with it.
That's funny. Well,
because Kurama is basically saying, like, who cares why this happened? Don't worry about it. Just focus.
No, I don't like it either. I hate it.
Like, I don't know. That's pretty questionable.
The message itself is questionable, but as long as it's thematically consistent, I think it's a strong story, even if it's a bad story. It's just hilarious to say, but
yeah. And I agree. Now,
Hunter x Hunter is also a different series, so I don't think it's fair to make that comparison. If Naruto,
I agree with that, but I do think like you could use examples in Naruto, even like
I agree.
Naruto isn't like Naruto's goal to become Hokage. It's not really, at least from Naruto, I would even argue proves it to some extent that the detour saving Sasuke is worthwhile. In his case, he believes that actually supports his growth towards becoming Hokage. Other people would disagree with him, but like, it's technically a detour from his goal, but like, it's not portrayed as being a bad thing, that detour. And it's important for Naruto. So it's like, and also I was thinking about Attack on Titan too, because it also was relevant to that, like the little things along the way matter kind of thing. So I feel like this is a pretty popular thing. It just happened to be the case.
This is why I was bringing up the layers.
I also don't think it's the only interpretation of the line, to be fair, is another thing. But it definitely could be one of them, for sure.
This is why I was bringing up the layers for Naruto, because I will relate this back to Jura in a minute. But for Naruto, even if he's not actively always pursuing his goal of becoming Hokage, Naruto does act as a protagonist should for all stories, and he always, in all scenes, actively pursues his goal. Well, that matters because goals are multifaceted. They're layered, even nested within one another, if you want to use that terminology. His goal is to become Hokage. Why? Well, usually there's 3 layers, basically. You can go beyond this, but it's the want, the need, and then the true need. He wants to be Hokage. Why? Because he needs acknowledgement from the villagers. Why? Because what he truly needs is to not be alone. That goes back to his trauma, the fact that he was alone as a child, and that hurt, and he knows that because he felt that. Bringing that back, so he's always in pursuit of that. He's always in pursuit of not being alone, being acknowledged by others. Really, it's just the not being alone thing. He doesn't want to be alone. Every scene Naruto's in, he's actively pursuing that because he needs to be, because he is the protagonist. Bringing that to Jura.
Yeah.
So this goes back to want, need, really need, the 3-layer thing. Jura wants to consume Himawari / Naruto. I'm going to combine them for now because it doesn't matter. That's the plot versus story. He wants to consume someone. Why? Because he needs answers. But what does he really need? This sounds so silly and artificial, but I'm just going to say this for now because we don't really know. He needs evolution. That's, at the end, what he seems to really desire, his end goal. So I think, narratively at least, this sounds silly, if he gave up on wanting or needing answers, and if he accepted Kurama's answer, I think he would evolve. This would mean he would no longer have any need or care to desire either Himawari or Naruto. If he gave up on that, if he gave up on finding answers, and he's okay, he's accepted reality, he doesn't need answers, he can have questions and that's fine, I think he might just evolve.
It's entirely possible. See, it don't necessarily has to be just that. Because the thing with, in terms of the finding your identity aspect, I think the point is Jura is looking outwards, trying to answer questions about this mysterious world in order to better understand himself. Whereas Kurama is looking inwards and chose to try to understand himself first. And as a result, he did better understand this mysterious world, but he's not blinded, fixated on that. And so then the way, the more broad way to look at this is like internal versus external. Jura is looking to find an external substance in order to find some sort of internal substance, whereas Kurama was looking for the internal substance, and then naturally that helps him find an external substance. And you can see this concept in a lot of writing stuff. An easy example I would use is Killer Bee. So Killer Bee, I wrote this down actually for a separate video, but Killer Bee didn't find happiness because he made bonds with others. He made bonds with others because he already found happiness within himself. So in Killer Bee's case, it's the same answer as Kurama, just a different subject. He found an internal substance first, and in doing so, then got the external substance naturally, versus trying to find the friends, the external substance, so that he could be happy, the internal substance. That's Jura's answer. What Naruto, to some extent, was trying to do early on. Kabuto does the exact same thing too.
I would prefer
Kabuto
that.
literally, honestly, it's funny. Kabuto does the exact same, literally just doing the same thing as Jura. Bro is literally trying to understand the secrets of the world and add things to himself externally in order to understand himself internally. Literally what Jura's doing.